have helped Jalen expand his offensive system. I think Brian's done a great job bringing some NFL things with the tight ends, the use of the tight ends they do. So they've grown as an offense, and Jalen's gotten better. They're extremely physical with some really talented wideouts outside.
Last week the mantra was keep the main thing to make things. Any similar messages?
Yeah, that and attack today and chopping wood. You know them.
It comes, with the challenges.
Very close to Scott. Scott's a tremendous strength coach. His family and I live close to each other, and we have kids the same age, kind of same grades, and his wife and my wife are very close friends. I got a lot of respect for Scott, and I think he's one of the best in the country at what he does. To be honest with you, that never was a big issue for me. I think Scott does a great job. I think the Scott we got has been probably the biggest blessing and asset for our program. He's been kind of the unknown secret to the fact that we've been very fortunate. When you look at injuries and how well you've been able to survive injuries and not have injuries, we've been really, really, really fortunate that we haven't had many injuries. And I think that's a credit to your strength and conditioning staff. And Scott Sinclair is by far and away the best in the country to me. We're seeing what Charlie can do. He's still trying to apply some more pressure to that leg and see if he can get back, but it's doubtful right now. Well, I don't know that that's exactly true. I would say we know most of the players. They've got really two recruiting classes, one that I wasn't a part of and one that I kind of was and left. It's the same way here. We've got seniors that are playing on defense that he didn't really have a hand in recruiting, so he came behind Todd. So there's some freshmen playing for us that he had no hand in. So when you look at it, there's probably the meat and potatoes that we both know, but there's a lot of alternative parts that neither one of us know. There's guys on their defense I had no idea about them. So, yeah, Jason will play. Extremely talented young man. I mean, ferocious competitor, not afraid of contact, smart. I mean, I've never seen a player that could play the number of positions he has within that defense. To play corner, nickel star, money, and safety, I don't know if that'll ever be done. People don't respect how smart you got to be to do that, and I think that's a credit to A, them coaching him, but B, his ability to learn it and retain information. Just holding everybody in the organization to the fire and making sure that everybody understood defining what their job was and that they do it to a certain standard. And I think that's important in any organization. I think, Coach Saban was very fortunate to learn that from the likes of Don James and Bill Belichick. And those guys had a lot of the same traits where when you hold people accountable and you do it the right way, sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's uncomfortable, but everybody's got a job to do, and you make sure they do it to the best of their ability.
Not a whole lot.
Say what? I'm just trying to be me. I'm not trying to be Nick Saban. I'll be honest with you. Our personalities, for the people that know us, they're not the same. I mean, Nick's incredible at what he does. I'm a different person than Nick. I'm different than Nick in recruiting, but that's okay. I'm okay with who I am. I'm comfortable with that. I'm not trying to be him or emulate him. He's got his own mannerisms, and I've got mine. I don't know. I think you'd have to ask somebody else that. I think we're both extremely competitive, both very organized, both passionate about our players, and that's why we do this profession.
$14
14 games, right? It's pretty seasoned. I mean, that's a game beyond most people's season. So I think he came in with a lot of that seasoning already. I've always given his high school coach a tremendous amount of credit because they prepared him that way. He played in probably the most competitive league, one of the most competitive leagues in all of high school football across the country. So he was more prepared for this than your average freshman, but he's done a tremendous job handling it, and he's a good leader.
and systematically, they've been kind of setting for defense. But obviously they're a good defense. Number one in a lot of rankings, and we're just trying to go out and play with them.
Well, first off, he's a big man that's really talented. He's got soft hands, which we saw the last game. He's got uncanny ability to strike and roll his hips. And we can all say that we coached that into him, but that came God-given and came from his high school level. He's as talented a big guy that I've seen in a long time. Like, he's the one guy that I would put in the Marcel Darius category, that when you run sprints, he can run with the DBs as well as he can the D linemen. He's really talented. Yeah, it's a spread game, and he's a guy that's going to make you 3 or 4 tackles on the sideline when most nose guards can't do that. They just eat space. And in the college game, he's a lot more valuable, I think, than just the pro game, because less of them are you doing that. You still need the space eaters up there.
At the end of the day, some more points than the other team.
That's not my opinion. That must be your opinion, right? Because that's not my opinion. I don't know what you're basing that on statistically, other than the fact that we play each other, and a lot of us have parity. But I honestly believe that the league is more equal than it's ever been, and that's mainly because I think, maybe Alabama's not as unbeatable as they have been, and they've had games that were closer. You look at their margin of victory on Texas A&M and Mississippi State. I think the league is closer to even. So I don't see it as there's just the 3 great teams and everybody else. Every team we played, I think South Carolina was much better this year than anybody gave them credit for. Kentucky, same way. Missouri had a great finish. I respect our league.
Given the rare things your team and staff have gone through because of this playoff season, do you think they can handle an expanded playoff games?
I was having that conversation the other night, just talking with my coaches and actually talking with my wife. It's been, I'm not going to sit here and cry over it. The system is what it is. But 15-game season, and there was a big break in there, between the last 2. It's taxing. It's taxing on these players. I think you got to be really smart. Number one, how you practice them. But now when you start talking about expanding it, I've always kind of been in the belief it'd be great to expand it, give more people the opportunity. But when do you play the games? These kids we had, they went from an SEC championship game, one of the highest emotions, to final exams the next 3 days. All right. Then they had Christmas break where we practiced them the whole time. And then as coaches, we had a signing date. And then school started back for us this week. So when you start adding stuff to that, they are student athletes. It's very taxing. I like the system we have. I'd love to see more teams. I just don't know how you would do it and facilitate to the students. I don't know. I think there's something to be said for that. There's a lot of value, at least in our conference, placed on a conference championship. It's a huge deal. You're talking about being best conference and having a conference championship. I do think that you've got situations that have occurred where the team doesn't play in that, but that's just kind of the luck of the draw. That's the way it goes at times. In my opinion, Alabama earned the right to be in the playoff by what they did prior to the Auburn game. So. I don't know that they're all vulnerable. I think everybody else has gotten better. I don't think it's like Alabama's come down and to anybody's level. I think the league is trying to catch up with them. It's certainly been that way for how many years? I don't know, 7, 8 years. Everybody's trying to catch up to them. And when everybody's coming in and taking your coaches and taking your quality control guys and taking your every assistant you can have, you think about there's almost somebody from Alabama on every single staff in our conference. So that gap, Coach Saban, and I'm learning that now, you've got to find people to replace the people. And you're always trying to get better when you lose somebody. Well, sometimes you lose good people, and it's hard to catch up that gap. You look at Auburn, they got guys from Alabama on their staff. South Carolina's got guys. Tennessee's got guys. Georgia's got guys. Now Missouri's got a guy coming in that's been with Nick all over. So his effect is great. Look at Texas A&M now. So that spread and that width is really broad. And I think that gap closes because people are always trying to catch up with them. What they do a tremendous job of is trying to keep that gap there through recruiting, facilities, and the job that Nick does with the organization.
Hey, Coach.
What's up, brother? Long time no see. I hear a lot from you, but I don't see you.
Well, we're always trying to come. So,
Tell me how many close friends
in the last 30 months,
that staff, how many people that you and your family have relationships?
Which staff we're talking about?
How many folks are left there that real close?
Well, I think when you leave, it's hard. I mean, I still have a great relationship with the Cochran family because my kids are best friends with theirs. Mary Beth has a great relationship with Terry Saban because of all the things that have happened since becoming a head coach. One of the most unique is my wife's relationship with Terry, because she's like the head coach's wife that's done it before. My wife had never done that before. So she's been dealing with adjustments in being a head coach's wife, and Terry has been tremendous with her. Yeah, she definitely mentored her. I mean, a lot more than Nick's mentored me, I can be honest with you with that. But it's been good because we have good friends and family over there, and we don't play them that often. So, the outlook was such that we thought we might play them in the SEC Championship. It didn't happen. And then we knew this was an opportunity that could come down the road.
In the course of 1 year, calendar year, how many times will you have a conversation with
the locker room?
I don't know. I mean, is that really important? I mean, we talk. Yeah, I mean, Nick's a great guy. We like to play golf together. I mean, he plays golf up near my dad's house. I don't see as how that's really that important. It ain't. Yeah. Well, I respect your question.
My brothers.
Tell me, when we talked 4 or 5 years ago, you said to us, every coach's dream is to one day be a head coach.
Sure.
The first time we ever heard you talk about being a head coach. Is the moment, are you sitting here right now, something that you always dreamed of?
Hopefully, huge crowd. They usually don't involve me a whole lot. Kind of never really know sometimes. But I usually always see that.
You envision this?
I really don't. I mean, I never dreamed about this. I thought about being a head coach, yeah, and I thought about leading my team to victory. Coaching kids to be champions, coaching kids to be better people. I want to have successful kids out there. I want to be here for a long time, and I want to have players come back and say, Coach, I'm better off because I played for you. You pushed me to be as good as I could be. You helped me become a better man. That's going to give me self-gratification that I'm doing what I want to do. But it's not going to be a win and loss column. It's not going to be a winning percentage. It's not going to be any of that.
But it's not, you thought about coming to Georgia. Would it be great to be sitting where Nick Saban was and chance like that?
Not really. I mean, you just want to win.
What about as a player, looking back, you look at these kids and think what it would have been like for you?
Usually whatever on my Apple Music shuffle, my brother.
Yeah, been great. I mean, I think the stage is even bigger now. You think about where the BCS went and where this CFP has gone. I mean, it's unbelievable how far it's come, and it's a great honor and reward for players that have worked their tail off all season. I just wish more teams could get to embrace this, be part of this, because it's really special when you roll up in a hotel and they've got the buses wrapped and they've got it's great for your kids. It's great exposure.
What's the biggest game you played in college?
I don't know, probably Georgia, Tennessee, when Tennessee was ranked in the top, in the country. Georgia, Florida, they were always ranked at the top. Probably one of those. Maybe a bowl game.
What's the best game you played? Yeah, it's the best game I played while I was in Georgia.
I don't know. Maybe the Florida game with 2 interceptions when we finally beat them, but everybody knows about that one.
That's pretty crazy. You come to work every day.
I don't know. I think you learn to expect the unexpected. I certainly didn't expect that in the Rose Bowl. A lot of people did, but I didn't expect it that way. I didn't think we played real good first half defensively, obviously. But I don't know really how this game will go. I think a lot of it depends. I think they've got they got a really good defense. So I'll be shocked if it turns into that. But you never know. You really don't. You got special teams plays that are a factor. You got turnovers that can create points. So who knows? We'll find out. I know they got a really good team.
What's it like to prepare for 2 elite teams, bring them across in just such a short period of time?
Well, it's tough. It's really tough. I think it's tough on the other team too. The hardest part is the first one wasn't as hard. You had too much time. Overthink it, do too much. It's a quick turnaround, man. I mean, I've never had the experience, talking to the Clemson staff. They had 9 days last year, and this 7-day turnaround is wicked. When you're flying back after a game, 3 hours time zone difference. It's been a tremendous management. I think it's really good players. You think? Yeah, because the 11-0 he's won, I would venture to say he's been favored in all 11. Maybe. He's got really good players. So not in defense of myself, because this is my first opportunity, but in defense of all those other assistants who I know, they were at their jobs playing against him for a reason.
It's also, after you see, it's always good to hit the ball off and see if they can get the I think they did that.
Yeah.
Coach Saban, who's also in the recruiting process.
Yeah, you think about that all the time. I mean, I think about how I want them to go to bed every night. So we had some meetings last night before they go. I think the last thing that they think about is always important. I think that's a key ingredient. What is their self-talk? What are they telling themselves? Where's the team at? And I think getting a pulse of your team. You know, are they overconfident? Are they nervous? Are they anxious? You know, but it's hard because when you've got 85 to 120 heartbeats, everyone beats different. So you've got to do a good job mixing that message up, keeping everybody's attention on what it needs to be on. And yeah, I've thought long and hard about it, but it could change based on today's practice. So like you said, it's fluid.
Every single year it seems Alabama's in this game.
Just gotta go out.
They got good players. They got a great staff. They got a great organization. When you recruit really well and you coach really hard and you got good facilities, you try to put everything you can in your favor. It doesn't matter if it's a dining hall, if it's a bus ride, if it's a quality control coach. You get as many things as you can to give you an advantage, and Nick does a tremendous job of that. And he's a really good coach, so that combination gives you a chance. But to do it as many times as they have back-to-back, that's pretty unbelievable.
We talked food for a second. Talk about training table this whole weekend and how you're managing nutrition.
Obviously, there's that.
We're eating, man. We're eating. We're eating.
Food at the hotel.
Well, we just got there, so we only had last night's kind of reception type deal. It was great. It was awesome. And then this morning we had a great breakfast. So
3 places in Athens.
I really do. I always love Last Resort 5. I mean, there's a lot of places. We like NRG. I mean, there's a lot LRG. There's a lot of good places down there. 5 and 10. We'd like to eat a lot in Athens. I'm a healthy eater, to say the least.
So what about when you were there? Give me the 3 or 4 places.
They're all gone. They're gone. Can't name them. They burned them down after we left. Players aren't allowed to go there.
Do you remember the bars, the 4 or 5 bars you went to when you were there, or restaurants?
I didn't go to bars much. I would go to restaurants.
Where are the restaurants? Back in the day.
To be honest with you, they're all gone.
Oh,
Yeah.
great food town.
Great food town. Great music town. Great college town. Great college environment.
How much do you use Athens?
A lot. It sells itself. I mean, when those kids come in on visits, they absolutely love it.
What is it that separates Athens as a town?
The one benefit I've had is
Well, I think the uniqueness of downtown, you've got a lot of social scene, you've got a lot of places to go there in town. You're close to Atlanta. You can fly in and fly out. So there's a lot of good stuff going on in Athens. I mean, a lot of opportunities for kids to be kids, and I think that's important in college.
We're going to let the front row broadcast win a national title, same place we've been there all year.
I don't know. We'll check back later. Check with Claude. Jason Stanley will be ready to go. Charlie, we still don't know yet. We're hoping, but we don't. It's doubtful, is what I would say right now. It's great to have him back. It means we got 22 miles per hour on our GPS back instead of trading out some other guy that might be 19 or 20. So we got a faster guy out there, and Alabama's got a lot of fast ones. So we got some that got to run with him.
Coach, when you look back at the 2015 game, you guys on the opposite end, but did you see when you were preparing for Georgia there that they could use that?
You know, it'd be huge for me. But at the end of the day, I think it'd be good.
I've always thought Georgia had a good program and good talent base. I mean, we played them that year. I think they were undefeated, and they had a really good team, had good backs, had quarterback. I mean, they've always had a good base, if that's what you're saying. I mean, at that time, I was a lot more concerned with us because we had just lost, I think, for a second year in a row to Ole Miss. So there was a lot of in-house concerns. I was not concerned with Georgia. You know, that's a political event, and to be honest with you, we're focused on Alabama and the championship game, and that's not really of my concern.
The college offense is a little more wordy, but the passing schemes
I can't hear you.
and all that, just fouls.
Just the proximity. I mean, you look at it, it's going to take us an hour and 10 to get over there. If we would have gone out to Flowery Branch, it would have been almost the same. The weather's cold. We're going to play inside. It gives Alabama an opportunity to use the Georgia Tech facility, so we don't have to share that one with them, and it just works better for us. We think that it gives us what we need, which is our facility, our rehab facilities, our meeting facilities, being familiar. Well, I want to keep them focused wherever we're at. The only negative is the bus ride, so that's part of it. But I mean, out in LA, we were busing 35 minutes to practice anyway. So. Really, to be honest with you, Mark, I don't. When I watch the tape, I see schemes. I don't look at it as I recruited this kid or I signed this kid or, I watch those guys when I'm not playing them. When I'm from afar watching a game, I'm cheering and rooting for every kid I sign. There's a lot of guys that are seniors and juniors on that defense and that team that I know their families, and they've sent me congratulatory texts. But I know where my focus and concentration is. It's on giving our team the best chance they got. And I can't be thinking about personal relationships to do that. Well, it says you better give some credit to the O-line, tight ends who give a lot of blocking, quarterback who gives them an opportunity to get good looks, and the receivers blocking downfield have all been tremendous. And I think Sony and Nick will be the first to tell you that, man, these guys do a tremendous job. But Sony and Nick are a unique combination of respect for each other. They complement each other. They live together. I thought one of the greatest scenes from last week was seeing Sony Michel celebrate on the sideline when Nick hit one of the runs, the Wildcat run to score. I thought that Sony's response on the sideline is just indicative of their relationship. Well, first off, we put that one behind us. We know that the 30 minutes that we played in the second half and overtime is what we're trying to emulate, focus on, and not the previous. And whatever we can do to play at our best this game is the key. But I just thought we played a little harder with a little more enthusiasm, and we got some momentum, which helped.
Jeremy's through into the situation he feels right now. What is he? He says he's really good feeling.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I sympathize with Jeremy because I think he was in a worse situation because I did not have to deal with a signing date. And the fact that he had to deal with a signing date while there, I wouldn't wish that. I mean, it was probably outside of, I don't know, I mean, it was probably the hardest month of my life trying to deal with the two jobs because you're trying to hire a staff, run an organization, but be loyal to a group of players who've helped you get this opportunity. Now mix in a signing date while you're practicing at another place. I mean, that's unfathomable. And I think he's done a tremendous job of that, and he's done it the right way, which that's what we do as coaches. We do this because of the kids. He's not doing it because of a loyalty to Nick. He's doing it because he thinks it's the right thing to do for those players, and he's done a great job of managing it. Recruit. I mean, talk to kids, get on the phone, hire staff, interview coaches, fly and go see people. I mean, we flew all over looking for coaches and interviewing coaches to hire the staff because you can't practice every day. So the days you don't practice, you're working on your program.
Considering the familiarity of the coaching staffs, how do you weigh we have to play our game and play our strengths too? We have to do something different.
Well, we look at the tape. We figure out what we think is the best thing to do to be successful. we know some things they know some things we know. I mean, you really just got to make decisions and weigh your options. The goal of a coach is to put your players in the best situation to be successful against the other team, and that's what we base every decision on. It's not like we say, oh, well, Alabama does this or Alabama does that. Sometimes you can talk yourself out of things that you should do because you know what the other team does, and I think you got to be careful of that. Hey, man, thank you. Good to see you, man. Appreciate it. Good to see you. You look sharp as always, bro.
Yeah. We feel we're just as good as the next team. And, as long as we go out and play our favorite game, I think we'll be okay. And at the end of the day, it's what we're best at. They're big up front, and this team is something similar I see every day at practice. And now we're here.
Yeah, I thought the all-season conditioning program, it starts in January, February, was tremendous. Leadership began to speak. I thought Coach Sinclair and his strength staff, man, they put it on these players and put them through trials and tribulations that would emulate adversity. Because we know everybody in the country tells you they try to create adversity in the off-season because it's going to happen in season, and you want to see how they're going to respond. Our group really responded well. We did some team-building events I thought that helped, but to be honest with you, we had a great group of freshmen come in, and we got a good nucleus of seniors that are good leaders, and that's been the biggest difference. Well, I thought there were some changes in culture, changes in the way we practiced, and it wasn't that they didn't buy in, it was that we didn't have success. And when you don't have success, that compounds the lack of buy-in. If you win, they buy in. And this year we had some key early wins that allowed them to say, you know what, we're doing this the right way. Let's get on board and let's go with this. And I felt like that was much different this year. Right. To this year or to the first? I probably would do some things different in year one, but you're right, it's hard to argue with it. But I'm big on self-analysis and being critical of myself and quality control, and we look at things all the time as what we could have done better. And there's things I would have done different last week, in retrospect. But part of that is adapting and getting used to changing on the flow.
But I think you did a really good way.
Yeah, that's a unique story that a lot of people don't think about. He fell into our hands. I can remember last year before one of the home games, he double dipped. He went to Clemson and us the same game day. And he said the biggest difference was that at Georgia, you came over and talked to me and spent time with me. And he goes, I felt important. You told me that I was going to get an opportunity. And he goes, that's all I wanted was an opportunity. And, he was a walk-on, so it wasn't costing us anything. And I'm thinking, if this kid's as good as they say he is, he may be an asset for us. Well, we knew once he got here that he was pretty good. We just didn't know if he could do it under the lights in the big moment. And he's proven that the Ivy League field's the same field as ours. And no moment's been too big for him. And he's been a big turnaround in our special teams. And I certainly credit him for that. Oh. Yeah, they're tremendously different. The quarterbacks are developed. The advent of the high school passing leagues, the AAU, the travel run and play, these kids are throwing the ball at a higher level. The offenses are more sophisticated. In Georgia, I bet you 20 years ago, you had a 50% wing tee rate. Now, you fast forward 20 years later, you're at maybe a 5%, 10% wing tee rate. So the quarterbacks that are getting developed at a much faster rate. You got the Elite 11, you got these passing academies, you got all these things that help quarterbacks grow and become better players. I also think that some of the high school game has gone up to college, where a lot of the college coaches will go visit high school coaches that got great ideas and do things to bring them along in their offense, so that fits these high school kids. But I think with that, you've also seen transfer rates grow. Quarterbacks leave. It's immediate gratification or I'm gone, because there's only one playing. And it used to be you never didn't have 4 on your roster. Now a lot of the good schools, they're lucky to have 3. I have not thought about it one bit. I just don't think it's important. I'm not here to self-reflect. I mean, I recruited a lot of those kids, but so did Nick. So did Bo Davis. So did Lance Thompson. I mean, there's a player on that every position that somebody had some hand in, but at the end of the day, they decided to go to University of Alabama, and it wasn't about the coach that recruited them. Same way the kids that decided to come here and play for us. A lot's made about who I recruited or who Jeremy recruited. It doesn't really matter. What matters is they chose to go to great universities that got great football programs. Not really, not unless it happens that way, because we stay on our side, they stay on theirs. That's not a big deal to me. I mean, I'd love to see them after the game. I'm very happy for a lot of those guys' careers. You know, I was able to see Minka at the award ceremonies with Roquan. It's great to see him because he's such a unique player in person. But they understand, guys. They're out to win a ball game and do something special with their program the same way our kids are. And I'm here to represent our kids. Execution, knockback, tackling. I mean, we did not tackle well. We didn't execute well. Didn't play up tempo real well. So there's a lot. I mean, luckily we cleaned some of that up by the second half, but there's still more to be cleaned up. Yeah, I was going to say, the trust factor went out the window the day he walked out there and played against App State. So I think you got to have confidence and trust in your quarterback all the time. You know, people were like, well, you know, Georgia's not throwing Jake Fromm. We didn't have to throw in some of those games. So why are we going to do it just to do it? I've trusted Jake Fromm since time he walked in against App State, and I think he's grown as a player. He's certainly gotten better since then, but that's through experience. So trust has not been a concern.
Systematically, they're really similar.
Yeah, I think every coach changes. I think I've changed from year one to year two. I think Nick's changed a lot as it's gone along. And if you ask his original LSU staff, they'll tell you that he's gone soft. You know, because at LSU, there's stories that were much tougher as far as work experiences than what we went through. I always enjoyed it. I think the media portrayed it to be more than it was. He's very competitive. He's very passionate. He's very driven, but he doesn't ask you to do anything that he doesn't do himself. And over the years, if anything changed, it was probably the fact that he understood we couldn't do as much defensively as offenses expanded and, going to more open style offenses and more athletic defenses. But that's not a Nick Saban change. That's a college football fundamental change.
Food. I love food. That's one thing I'm going to do. Be part of the football.
Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest changes I made is that I got to do it my way. And what is your way? You don't know your way until you actually do it. And from year one to year two, I probably felt like I changed the most in decisions about practice, decisions the way to manage some players, decisions of how to handle recruiting, how to handle coaches. There's just so many things that go into it. It's constantly changing as you go along because that's the only way to do it right. And every year is not the same. You know, we didn't have the same team we had last year. Last year, I felt like that team needed to be driven, needed to be pushed a lot more. This year, a lot of the driven and pushed came from them. And maybe they learned how to from some of the experiences I gave them the first year. But I didn't have to do near as much that I had to do in year one.
Anywhere you want to go. I'm the grill. Anything you want to grill, I can grill it. Steaks is my specialty.
I don't know that you ever envision it. I mean, we certainly hoped and looked for it. I don't think anybody went there thinking that it was going to come out the way it did, but with hard work, good recruiting, good coaches, I mean, you give yourself a chance at success when you eliminate roadblocks. And that's one of the things we try to do at Georgia is let's eliminate all roadblocks. Is it nutrition? Is it strength and conditioning? Is it recruiting? Is it quality control coaches? Is it everything you can get in your favor might be that 1 point? Might be that one play in overtime, might be that one block field goal. Get it all in your favor because that's the only thing you can control. And
I usually get full. If it tastes good, I like it. I usually don't try to eat a whole lot of sweets, but I'm definitely
I don't know that there's a keen understanding of it. I think there's a lot of teams out there that do the same things we do. They just might not have as much talent. So there's a lot of hard work that goes into being a successful college football program, but I don't think the general public knows what our kids do year-round. But they don't know what some of the other sports do either. Swimming, diving. I mean, there's all these student athletes across the board, especially University of Georgia. They are student athletes. I mean, it is a challenging university academically, and every student athlete's got to be at the top of his game in the classroom as well on their sports arena, and I don't think student athletes as a whole get enough credit.
Definitely going to hit kind of hard, and that's how it feels, but it's kind of how it goes.
To be honest with you, I don't think about it. I'm thinking about, Alabama, and if I was at UCF, I'd probably do the same thing.
We had that last
Can you describe, can you talk about Terry Godwin? When you saw
he's an elite competitor. He's not a huge frame guy, but he plays with unbelievable toughness. I watched Terry when he was in 8th grade come over to high school practice, and the one thing that stuck out to me is he was doing bull in the ring at Callaway High School, and he was knocking the heck out of 9th, 10th, 11th graders, and I thought, man, that guy's going to be a special player. He has grown as a person, much more mature. I think his work ethic this year has been incredible. He's been a leader for the receiving staff. He's got unbelievable hands and hand-eye coordination, and he's really good at coming in out of breaks. And I think that's helped our offense. He's a guy that's made us much better.
That's one I'm super excited about. Thank you for this opportunity, and I hope we get it done. They're a huge shot. They've been awesome for me all year.
I don't think it changes much. I mean, I think you can get too much into that and let it become a distraction. We've tried to block that out. I mean, we know what they like to do. We know what we like to do. We know some of their players. They know some of our players. There's a lot of overlap just because the two states are contiguous. I mean, it's not a big deal.
He's really smart. He's always, trying to think about new ways
But what does it matter? If I know they got 3 punt returns,
that's what I love about him. He's always,
what does it matter? I don't know which one they're calling. If I know they got 28 offensive plays, I don't know which one they're calling. I mean, I don't think that it helps you strategically because there's no intimate knowledge that I just have that's going to help me, nor that they have on us. That's way overrated. At the end of the day, it's what number 17 does against number 65 or vice versa. Who blocks and who tackles best? That's ultimately what it comes down to. There's no secrets that you have. Well, I never studied Brian Daboll before, so I don't know his tendencies better. You know what I mean? I mean, in Alabama's defense, I think is tremendous year in, year out. That's Nick's identity in his program. They're really good this year like they've been really good every year, so it's not a tendency factor. You can know what they're going to do on defense. You got to block them. It's tough when somebody says, I'm going to line it right here, and I'm going to do it every play in the game, and you can know where they're at and still not get them because that comes down to players. And I think this game comes down to players. Oh, yeah. I mean, he escapes the pocket very similar to other guys. The difference is you got to tackle him. This guy's like tackling a bona fide 220-pound powerlifting tailback. I mean, he's state powerlifter of the year out in Texas. I mean, his lower body is tremendous. I mean, you watch teams and you watch even Clemson last year when he breaks out on that run, he's running through tackles. So he's a force to be reckoned with as a ball carrier.
Kicker has become such a kind of popular personality with fans and community.
No, I've never had Rodrigo before either, though. So, I mean, not other than last year. So, Rodrigo's been a tremendous asset for us, and you could probably give him the Most Improved award because he's worked really hard to become the kicker he has.
What does that do for you psychologically as a head coach to have a kicker who you feel more or less you can kind of rest your head on the pillow?
Oh, it feels great. I mean, I got the utmost confidence in Rod. He does it every day in practice. His percentages in practice are incredible. He's very accurate, very consistent. He's been a great asset. I think it makes you, comfortable. Yeah, Led's come a long way. I mean, I recruited Led uniquely at Alabama, and he was at one time committed to Alabama. And to meet him, meet his family, meet his brothers, extremely athletic kid, from Tucker, and he's grown as a player. He's gotten better. He's been through some trials and tribulations, which I think have allowed him to grow further as a player. Maybe if he doesn't go through those, he's still running a tough course. He's much more focused. He practices so much better. He's had a tremendous camp of bowl, getting ready for Oklahoma and getting ready for Alabama. He practices so hard. He realizes the importance of practice, and he's been able to impart some of his experiences and knowledge on the younger players. We have him talk to those guys about pitfalls and traps that are all over all colleges, and he uses his experience to maybe keep one of them from running into the same experience, and fired up about him.
Riley's awesome. His guy, he doesn't say a whole lot.
I don't know. I think it's been great for our family. That's my brother, sister, mom, dad, to experience it because, he had a lot of big moments as a coach, and we weren't always there because in a coaching style, you're kind of raised by your mom. You're not around a lot. So I've been very pleased to have my dad a part of a lot of these moments, big moments, and it's an honor to him because he kind of grew me into the coach I am. So when I get an opportunity to thank him for all he did, I don't think I would be successful as a coach if it wasn't for him shaping me. I don't know, 10, 15, something like that. The immediate family will be there. Oh, these games, special teams are huge. And, historically, Alabama's played really well on special teams in these games, and we've brought that to our attention, whether it's SEC championships or national championships against Clemson with the Kenyon Drake return. So those games have weighed heavily. The surprise onside by Alabama against Clemson. There's big-time plays in special teams that can dictate the outcome of the game. And we've harped on special teams all year and be no different on Monday night.
Celebrating college football.
Absolutely. I don't believe in the day and age of first-time guy has a mistake that you give up on him, because if kids are compliant, they go to class, they're on time, they do what they're supposed to do, and they make mistakes, we need to try to save them. We need to try to make them better. And he's a great case in point. He's not done playing yet, and we still got to support him. But there's kids on our team that will make mistakes, and to throw them out to the wind and just throw them out to society is not the way to go. And I think he's a case in point. For everyone like him, there may be one that we can't help or can't fix, but we have to try to do that as a program because a lot of these kids need our guidance. They need us, and we want to be there to support them, and that's a good story.
Hi, Coach. My name is Rachel Lindsay, and I represent the College Football Playoff Foundation. And the foundation is all about elevating teachers and providing resources to them. So I'm just curious as to who's your favorite teacher and what type of impact
That's the easiest question I've ever gotten because my mom's my teacher. And my mom taught me English, and she was a tremendous English teacher, and I think every student she's ever had is still in contact with her, and she's formed great relationships with them, and she impacted me a lot. I hope I speak well on her behalf. I know she writes me a letter every time I say ain't, but other than that, I do a good job of trying to represent her well.
And I gave her the opportunity.
Coach, I know they're completely different players, Jalen and Jake, but it seemed what Jalen did last year for true freshman. Was there any point where you told Jake or your coaches, like, listen, we can do the same thing they did last year?
Absolutely.
No, I never really referenced that. I think because they are different players, I have tremendous respect for what Jalen has done. 2 years, I mean, his record is impeccable, but that doesn't really relate to us. I don't think it has anything to do with us, and we're a different team in regards to that.
I really don't know. I think a lot of it's God-given, and I think a lot of it's...
Yeah, I think that's what those messages allow you to do, to simplify things. We always want to do simple better at University of Georgia. How do you do simple better? You keep it simple, stupid. You don't give guys a lot to think about, and that's the whole mantra behind Keep Chopping. Is the focus is on the chopping, not everything going on around you. You just do the best you can with the hand you're dealt and keep doing it. Yeah, I talked about him earlier. It's doubtful. We're hopeful to get him. He's getting some treatment right now, but very doubtful. Yeah, Jason's going to play. Well, I would have said that Auburn when we went 7-0, and I would have said that Oklahoma. I mean, when is it not important to get off to a fast start? So I love the question, but we've shown a propensity to start slow the last two big games. I certainly want to reverse that, but sometimes those things are out of your control, and a lot of times it's how you respond to what happens, good or bad. So maybe the other teams didn't respond well to having success early, and we responded well to not having success early. But I do think that's important in confidence of your team. Dom's gotten better with each year. Dom's a competitor. I mean, he's a kid that was way under-recruited and has played above and beyond, I think, what people ever thought when he was coming out of high school. Not really. I mean, I like to be involved with all of them, So.
In the Georgia media session, 1 minute remaining.
What was that last? Well, I'm proud of these players. It's really not about me. I mean, I'm proud of the fact I'm from Bainbridge. I've got a lot of people back home that have reached out to me and are proud of what we're doing. But I'm proud of these players. They've given so much and given up so much to get us to this point. So really excited for the opportunity, and I want them to enjoy the moment. When I found out the seniors were coming back, I was elated. I mean, I knew we had a chance to be good, but with them staying, it gave us an opportunity to do something special like this. Thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the Georgia media session. In approximately 25 minutes, Alabama's media session will begin. Your attention, all Georgia players and coaches, please return to the buses through the same tunnel you entered. Georgia players and coaches, please return to the buses through the same tunnel you entered.